We'd like to call this meeting to order. If everyone could please rise. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My voice is a little screwed up, so if you can't hear me, let me know. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee Caprio?
Present.
Trustee Rogers? Present. Trustee Sweet?
Present.
Trustee Metzger-Cherokee?
Present.
Trustee Darian?
Present.
Mayor Yukich?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to table I-6, adopting the code of the village. The board needs more time to actually see the code book before we can approve this.
Okay. How does everyone feel about that? That's good. Everyone okay? We need to take a roll call? Yes. All right, could you call the roll on that, please?
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Darian?
Aye.
Trustee Metzger-Cherokee?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24th, 2016 Village Board meeting?
I so move.
By Trustee Rogers.
Sweet.
Suisse. Second. By Trustee Costa. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll? No, you don't have to. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I will abstain.
All right, Christine. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of February 26, 2016 through March 24th, 2016?
So moved.
Trustee Costa. Second. Second, Trustee Caprio. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Darian?
Aye.
Trustee Metzger-Cherokee? Aye.
Motion carries. Next is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start out. In recognition of Oak Prairie and Homer Junior High students for participating in the village's park naming contest, at this time, we would like to recognize the following students from Oak Prairie and Homer Junior High for their participation in the village's park naming contest. So we have Melanie Esposito. Melanie, you here? You want to come up here?
You want to come forward?
That's okay. I'll have more people up here for you in a second.
Read faster.
Michael Parmigiani, or I hope I got that right. Emma Knight. Angelina Bodie. Lindsay Herc. And Olivia Stojek. As you all know, the students were invited to submit names for the village's park, along with a brief explanation for the name that they chose. A committee of teachers from the school selected the suggestions of the 6 students here tonight to be recommended to the village's Park and Recreation Committee for consideration. Thank you all for participating in the contest and for providing input towards this very important project for the Homer Glen community. And at this time, I would like to, well, I already brought you up here, but to receive a prize for being finalists in the contest. So. Okay. Why don't we find 2 more? Okay. Melanie? Emma? I know you're not Olivia.
I don't know.
Michael? Okay. Tell me which one again. Angelina? Lindsay? And Olivia. So, we appreciate everything that you did do for us. because sometimes the old people, they don't think the same way as you guys. So you're bringing something fresh to the village, and we appreciate everything you've done. So. You're on this side? We just gotta get that in the middle. Do we fit? Yeah. Thanks, Bob. One more. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
George, can I ask a question? Would you guys mind just letting everyone know what name you chose? You don't have to tell why, just state the name that you picked.
Harmony Park.
Speak up.
Harmony Park.
Harmony Park.
Oliveri Freedom Park.
Veterans Park.
Granger Park. Songbird Park. Amity Park.
Thank you guys.
All right, the Parks and Recreation Committee also asks the residents to submit a name suggestion through a form in the village's website or at Village Hall. Thank you to all the residents who made the suggestion. The Parks Committee will take all suggestions, including those from the schools, resident suggestions, and the committee's own suggestions into consideration. The Parks and Recreation Committee will then recommend their top 3 names to the village board to be voted on, among other suggestions at the April 13th village board meeting. Update on Village Hall right now. They are doing absolutely wonderful over there. We had to go by today for a meeting to see what's been done, if there's any problems, if there's any hiccups. There are no problems. A couple hiccups, but it's just a few things that they found after tearing some walls down. It's nothing big. But all the steel studs are up now throughout the building. So the village side of it, they are going to start drywalling right away. On the community center and boardroom side, they have all the scaffolding up to hold up everything. So they cut the beams down and they're going to put steel beams in there, so this way when we have the community center open and the village board, it'll be a clear shot for everyone to see it. So I'm very impressed. I think they're doing an absolutely wonderful job. They said that they will be on schedule for completion by June 15th, which is huge. We have this until July 31st, but we would like to be out of here before that. So if you do have any questions or you want pictures to see what they've done, all you have to do is give Village Hall a call, because we do have them online, and this way they can tell you where to go
They are?
to look at them.
I will post them.
Oh, I thought you already had, well, they sent them to me, so I figured they're sending them to everybody else. But they're definitely impressed. Okay, with that, we have the trustees. We can start down with Trustee Caprio.
I have nothing to report there.
Okay, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Environment Committee, there will be 2 hazardous waste collections open to Will County residents only. The first one is on April 2 from 8 to 3 p.m. at the Plainfield Public Works parking lot. The second collection will be on April 16th from 8 to 3 at the Lincoln Way East High School parking lot in Frankfort. Details are posted on the village website at www.homerglen.il.org. In the search box, and search hazardous waste for exact address and items that are acceptable. There will also be a document shredding event on April 30th at the American Legion Post parking lot at 15052 Archer Avenue in Lockport. A $5 charge will be collected per box to fund projects for veterans and active military. As a reminder, please mark your calendars for the Earth Day Arbor Day event, which will take place on May 21 at the Konos Farm. There will be a variety of vendors, new demonstrators, and animal shows. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee Rogers.
I have nothing.
Trustee Costa.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to report for the Fest Committee. As previously reported, our Fest this year is June 23rd through the 26th. So plans are going very good with the Fest. Everything is starting to fall into place for us. We're still working with the fireworks company to to get the show going and what music we're going to have. And again, we're trying to make it even bigger and better than we've had in the last couple of years. So hopefully you can make it out for fireworks night. Our fireworks night this year is on Thursday. Of course, once the sun is down and it's dark. Before that, we are going to have Mr. D's Magic Show, which will be there somewhere between 6:30 and 7. Right now, we're trying to work out the exact hours. So just watch the newspaper and various flyers in the community for the exact time of that. The rain day, in case it rains on Thursday or if the winds are too strong, if it's unsafe to shoot them off, our rain date would be the following night, which is Friday. So far, we haven't had to change nights, but just so everybody knows that. Mega passes, this year mega passes will be $55 if you buy them before the event, $65 if you buy them during the event. They will go on sale the beginning of June, so probably right around June 1st or June 2nd they'll be on sale. Special needs, so any family that has a child with special needs in our community, that is going to be on Friday. Again, this year we moved it from Thursday a couple years ago, and Friday seems to work good. So it'll be Friday. Parking, you can get there and start parking at 2 o'clock. The carnival will be open to the children with special needs and their families from 2:30 to 4:30. So hopefully, you know, anybody in the community, if you know somebody, pass the word on. We do try to get pre-registration for that, so if you know anybody with special needs or a family that has a child with special needs, please contact the township or the village, and we'll get you an application so we have a good count on the kids that'll be there. And of course, as usual, always look for volunteers. It's a great time for high school students to get their service hours. It is a 4-day event, so you can pick which days you can go there, and you can get a lot of hours. So hopefully the weather is good and we could enjoy a lot of people coming out this year. Also, we're doing something a little special this year in conjunction with the chamber. We're actually going to have some of our vendors, some of our local businesses that are going to be there selling goods. We're still working out the details, but it looks like it's going to add just something else to our fest. So hopefully it's good weather and come out and enjoy it. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Trustee Turkey?
I have nothing to report.
Trustee Bergen?
I have nothing to report, Mayor.
Village Treasurer?
Thank you, Mayor. I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments at February 29, 2016. It shows the general fund with cash and investments of $5,132,736.91. The special event fund had a cash and investment balance of $89,365.91. Environmental fund had a balance of $56,483.08. The motor fuel tax fund had a balance of $2,564,246.07. The land acquisition was purged into the Park and Recreation Fund. It has no investment balance at February 29th. The Park and Recreation Fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,617,579.06. The debt service fund had a balance of $962,659.65. And the capital project fund had a balance of $3,242,321.02. The EAB tree replacement fund had a balance of $484,874.42. And the last fund is the capital project bond fund, and it had a balance of $15,149,569.28 for a grand total cash and investments at February 29, $30,299,835.40. It's the 10th month of fiscal 16, and the general fund is tracking to generate a sizable surplus this year. So, fiscal year so far, as we come close to wrap up. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Village Clerk?
No report.
Village Attorney?
Mayor, I have no report tonight.
Public Safety Officials? No. Village Manager?
No report.
Okay. Next will be public comment. If we could keep it to 3 minutes, it'd be wonderful. If it takes a little longer, we're here. Bob Schmidt?
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
How are you? Thank you, Mayor. Board of Trustees. I have a couple observations and some comments, but I'll try to fit to my 3 minutes. Thank you for bringing us up to date on the village hall. I was there today, and nosing around, as I normally do, and they're coming along. And it's going to be a great place to work. A great place for us to visit. And a great place to get things done for residents in Homer Glen. Thank you for that. All right, now, in my running around to the various communities, which as you know I have a lot of time to do that, I'm wondering why Homer Glen is known for the highest price of gasoline in the area. I know many of you have said that, well, people are going to stop here. Well, I don't understand why someone would stop here and pay $2.19 when they buy it a mile away for $1.87. Now, obviously, I know we're very wealthy here, but I don't understand why we are allowing the same people that own these stations to price us 30% higher. Maybe somebody could tell me. I'm a dummy. And I know, Mayor, you said that, well, you know, go elsewhere. But that doesn't put any money in Homer Glen. And that's my problem. I want to keep our money and our people here. Why are we allowing these service facilities to take money from us? Last but not least, I'm wondering if we have, is it all right?
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I wonder if we have, you know, we have a marker on Bell Road for a young man who died. Now, in all respect to him and Homer Glen, what have we made available as a reasonable approach to that? Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, every day I go by there, and I say, why? So, maybe somebody can tell me that. Thank you.
Bob, as for the gasoline, we plan on calling Speedway. If you notice, whenever the price changes, as soon as Speedway changes it, everyone changes it up to their price too. We have gone in there and we've complained, and we were told that you didn't complain when the price of gasoline was cheap. But when it jumps 46 cents in one day, one time, Brian, what was it, 60?
40. Today was 30.
And I agree, when we can buy it in Kirk County, cheaper than we can buy it here, there is an issue. So we will be calling. We've sat down with 2 of the managers at the stores and they said they have no control. Their higher ups tell them what to do. They do it or they lose a job. So I do understand that, and I do feel that they are definitely taking advantage of us right now.
No, you're right, Mayor. That's going to happen. And I went down to Orland Park, the shell station on the corner. I paid $1.87 an hour. Now, wait a minute. You know, I'm sorry. That's 19 and how much?
31 cents.
31 cents. I don't know. I can't afford it, but, you know. But I'm not leaving, so. I said I'm leaving. I'm not leaving anymore. Okay. God bless you.
I have got to say one
Thank
thing
you.
on that. Sure. Bob, so I share your frustration on it. At times, we have the lowest gas prices in the area, right? And we will have that. And there's often times that we have the lowest in the area. But then, as the mayor's talking about, we see these one-day spikes. And the first time we saw it, to the mayor's credit, he got in his car and drove to multiple stations and said, what's going on? So I think the thing that frustrates me the most is the roller coaster. We all know that the price of a barrel of oil adjusts gas prices, et cetera, et cetera. But when you wake up this morning and it was $1.88, and then as I'm driving here this evening, it's $2.19 in Homer Glen. And with apps and with Gas Buddy, I think we've all been tracking it more than we have in the past. But there are things that I think we need those answers to why these, what seem to be now more routine 30 and 40 cent spikes between morning and evening of the same day. And what will happen that I've seen is it will now continue to trickle down over the next 2 weeks, and we'll get back to $1.80 something, and it'll spike back up. And I think that's the questions that we need to get from these gas stations. But I share your frustration that we know prices fluctuate, gas fluctuates, right? But when Orland is now today, this evening, $1.85. Right, and we're now $2.19, where this morning we were within 2 cents or whatever that may be. Those are the answers we need, and those are the answers I think we'll try and get for you.
Well, the other thing that I don't, one more minute. What I don't understand is, whatever happens to competition? Every one of those damn stations are the same.
As soon as they see Speedway bumped it up, they all bump it up.
But how stupid.
I don't disagree with you, but we will make that phone call tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. John Coy?
I think everybody in here, not everybody I guess, but most of us, are a little concerned about the Illinois American Water brochure that was sent to everybody's houses that lives in Homer Glen. I got out my water bill and I'm looking at my water bill, and my water bill says just for the sewer, current wastewater services, $58.62. Now, according to this, the collected treatment service will increase $22.85 a month. Now, that totaled up is $81.47. That's quite a bit of money. And I look in the newspaper and I see an ad in the newspaper. It isn't an ad, my mistake. Frankfurt, okay, $60 million for a sewer treatment loan. They're going to build a sewer treatment plant. They're going to borrow $60 million. And the cost, now, believe this or not, the average customer pays at this time in Frankfurt $35.06 a month for the sewer service. And that could go as high as $59. What's wrong with that? We don't have to build a sewer treatment plant, but we're going to be paying $82? What's wrong here? Somebody called me the other night and said to me that, am I passing around flyers in subdivisions about Illinois American Water? I wished I was, but no, I haven't. I haven't seen a flyer either, and I have been told this afternoon that there's whoever's passing these out said they're going to have a meeting over at the library. And I think that the village should send one of our representatives to go to this meeting. We should send out letters with who to write to and a name on it, not just mail a letter to Springfield. The average person don't know who to address this with. Every homeowner in my neighborhood that I've talked to, they say, well, I don't know where to address a letter. I said, well, you got to do something. I said, I'll get you the address. They said, but what's it going to do? It's going to go there, they're going to take it and right in the garbage. Oh, Jesus. The ICC, that's another one of them from Homer Glen. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Somebody's got to be held responsible here. I mean, this is idiotic that we're gonna spend all that money, and we're not even building a new sewer treatment plant, when Frankfurt can do it and then make the rates be less. Now, Yangus Park has a sewer treatment plant. I heard that that sewer treatment plant now is gonna be leveled, and our sewerage from Little Cook Road is gonna go all the way out to Chickasaw sewer treatment plant. What's wrong with that? Duh. You just destroy a functioning entity, and you're gonna have to either enlarge the one or build another one in Chickasaw or someplace in our village. We gotta start watching this Illinois American Water. We are being taken to the cleaners. We need a letter to go out to the public and every homeowner here with names, addresses, and phone numbers that they can stand up for what they think is right. Thank you.
Good, man.
John, we agree with you, and we have already gotten you with what Illinois American Water wants to do. It's not just us that they're hitting up. Anyone up in the state that uses their water or the sewer. There's a lot of cities that just use sewer. There's some that use sewer and water, and some that just use water. We've already been in contact with ICC. We have, as soon as it comes up for hearing, what we would like to do is get all the mayors from all the cities and villages to go down there, bring the papers with us to show what we are paying compared to everybody else. And the biggest thing that we don't understand is you want to take $22.85, and I'm pretty sure it's for every 3,000 or 4,000 gallons, so if you use 8,000 and you're 44 on top of what you're already paying, to rebuild their infrastructure. They're not a non-for-profit. This is a company that's for-profit. So we did sit down with the Vice President of Illinois American Water about a month ago now, and the question that we threw at him was, you want us to pay for the pipe to refurbish it so we can pay you for the pipe to use it? He says, well, yeah. Well, I don't know of one business out there. I mean, I can't tell people that I want money because something in my building broke. You know, that I fixed a car and, well, now you owe me money because I need to renew everything. It doesn't work that way. So we are in the process of doing that. I talked to Margot McDermott's office this morning. She's going to write a letter for us, Lamont. She just sent one more, I think it's Mokina.
I have one more question. Is there a way we or the individual can FOIA Illinois American Water that I could get a picture, better picture in my head? They can always talk about they're going to put in new pipelines, they're going to put in new infrastructure. I saw one truck in this last month, and my wife says, what do you keep looking at all these trucks for? I'm looking for Illinois American Water. I said, they keep saying they're working, they're putting in new infrastructure, they're expanding everything. I don't see them doing anything in Homer Glen.
No, they don't.
And once or twice a week, and then the wife looks at me like, there you go again, you're gonna take a ride for an hour or two, aren't you? Yep. But I do it while they're at work. I don't work, so I got time to go around looking, and I don't see their trucks nowhere. I saw them over here on our 51st Street for a couple months. But that's not what they're talking that they do. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Can we FOIA? Where is this work being done?
well, the problem that you have with Northern Illinois Water, or Illinois American Water, is we're in the process of a suit with them to get to be able to buy the pipeline, but I'm still not really sure why we're doing that, because they still sell the water at the end, so they're still going to make as much. But we got into it, and we can't back out. But no.
Can I interrupt you now, Mr. President? Did everybody listen to what he said? We're in a lawsuit. We're buying the supply line. That will not change our billing.
Well, it will change.
We will not save 2 cents by buying that supply line.
You will save money because they can charge us anything they want for the water. If the village owns it, and Bolingbrook owns it, and Woodridge, and Lamont, and Romeoville, We get the water for cheaper than what they're selling us to us for. But that's not the only problem. Then you also have the sewer system, where we can't do anything with it, and the sewer's just as bad as the water. We're in a situation that it has to be heard. It has to be heard loud. That's why we'd like to get all the politicians together from all the cities that are using them in Illinois and go before the ICC. If we have to go further than that, then we see about going further than that. But I did have one guy that made a suggestion, and it kind of made a lot of sense. If every single solitary person stopped paying for it, they'd have to listen. Because they can't shut your water off. It would be dumb for them to do that. So, it's just something that was said. I don't know if it would be a good idea for the village to promote it, but after a while you do get tired of just letting them take advantage of you. But we are looking into it. It's not going before the ICC for some time. So as soon as we do hear anything, the other thing that we did tell them is any new pipes we put in the ground, we're not giving them to them. Because that's where everything gets screwed up. You have a builder come in and do a community, they put all the pipe in, they put all the water in, they pay all the tap-on fees, and then they give it all to Illinois American Water for them to take advantage of us. So we're putting some water lines in, we're putting some sewer lines in for the village, so this way we can promote more business on 159th Street. I've already sat down with Lockport, and they said they would be more than happy to work with us for sewage treatment and for water, which would be a lot less, but Lockport does not have Chicago water, so we got to see what we're doing. But we're trying everything we possibly can to make it better for the village and for everyone else around here, because everyone's getting taken advantage of. So with that, next would be Lynn McGarry.
Lynn McGarry from the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce. I hate to follow all these serious subjects, but I'm really glad you're really serious about it, and you need to let us know what we can do. I'm not sure about not paying the bill, though. That's the scary thought.
Just a suggestion.
It is, yeah. Okay, I'm here to ask you all, next Thursday, March 31st, is the State of the Village address by Mayor Yukich. It's at Donalfo's at 11:15. Anybody interested? We still have a little time for you to get registered. We got 100 people coming already, so got to be ready. See me if you're interested. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Okay, that ends public comment. Next is legislation and action items. First on the agenda is I need a motion to grant an extension of the final development plan for Waterfall Place in Homer Glen, Illinois. It is understood that this extension is for one additional year period beginning March 26, 2016 and continuing through and including March 26, 2017. It is further understood that if approved, this will be the fourth one-year extension granted to the Waterfall Place development. Need a motion.
So moved.
Trustee Costa, I need a second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I just have a couple of questions.
Mike was first.
Oh, that's it.
Then I'll go.
Trustee Sweet, go ahead.
No, I was just, Director Schwartz. I know there was some issues regarding landscaping and everything. Has everything been satisfied to the village's, with their plan? You know, they were supposed to do a tree ordinance, a tree plan and landscaping and everything. I was just wondering, are they up to date on that?
We're working with their engineer. I had a conversation this afternoon with the engineer for the developer, who is here this evening as well, to go over what's still required, still needed. Under the tree preservation ordinance of the village, we do need a plan from them showing which trees are going to be removed. Once we receive that, what we'll do is forward it to the village forester. He's the one under the ordinance charged with looking at it, reviewing it, and letting the developer know what tree replacement may or may not be required. Once that's all addressed, then we do have a number of just smaller items required from the contractor that's looking to, use the property for construction staging.
Okay. And, you know, this might be several years, this might be up for renewal again for several more years. So when this does start, ordinances that are in effect at that time, even if it takes another 5 years, they have to abide by the ordinances
Yeah.
at that time, not going back 10 years when this originally started.
Right. This would be the fourth one-year extension. It's actually the fifth overall extension because the initial request extension was for 3 years. They had 3 years essentially under the ordinance. And this will take us through March 26th of 2017. So that gives them time. Obviously, they'll have to come back. It's a more than 2-year construction project. And so we all anticipate that the developer would be back here a year from now asking for another extension to meet the ordinance obligation.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, just my question is, I believe a few months back, we were, IDOT is storing some equipment they're using that staging area for the expansion.
The contractor for IDOT, John Law.
Contractor. So
Yes.
is it safe to say then that for this next year, there will be nothing done on that property again? Are there any site improvements planned for that? Even though IDOT
Not related to the Waterfall Place project. We're just waiting on some checklist items that the Judd Lau, the contractor, is waiting to give us, like, for example, the stormwater protection, pollution protection prevention plan, SWIP as it's called. That and some other items are required. Once I have that, I can issue, you've already authorized me to give a temporary, 6-month temporary use permit. So obviously the date may change from, it was back in October, I believe, that the board authorized me to give that, issue that temporary use permit. But it never has yet been issued because we're waiting on some of those items. So the date will move forward. And then they're required every 6 months to come back to you.
We have Boris in the audience. And Boris, could you do me a favor, just step up here? Speaker, and then we can kind of fill you in on it. I've had the pleasure of working with Boris for 7 years now, same as Trustee Costa. The reason that it was put on hold in the first place is, if everyone remembers, we were hit with a nasty recession. And I'll be honest with you, if I was him, I would have done the exact same thing. I'm not going to spend millions of dollars when no money's coming in. So he's been putting it off because of the recession. And now with 159th Street being widened, again, you're going to spend $17, $20 million and then not be able to get into his parking lot. So I would do the exact same thing as you're doing. As for the trees, it has been discussed. He's going to get a form over to Mike Schwartz, so this way they know exactly what he is doing with the trees. And as it stands right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to have a tree study done to see what trees are good, because there's just the garbage trees. So he's going to have a tree guy go out there and take a look at them. He's going to decide what's good and what's bad, what can be cut down, and what, if he did cut down, would have to be replaced. So whatever is cut down that does have to be replaced, he'll either replace it with the trees or money in lieu of. As for his landscaping, the building right now is not really, the plans aren't in yet because he's not finished with everything. He's got a few questions that are unanswered to him and he's waiting for it. One of it is with the state of Illinois for cut-in for him to do the property. We think we got that worked out today. We went down to IDOT and sat down with them. And Mike gave us a feel for the village for how this will work perfectly for us. So with that, you know, the questions that they asked, I'd like you to answer them so this way they know.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here again. I've had the privilege with my investors by my side to own this property for 10 years. There's a reason why we're here. We think we can highly impact the family environment in this community. We're trying to create jobs and help the tax burden on the residents of this community. It's a complicated project for a variety of reasons. I think IDOT is doing a great job of trying to build a great road. If we don't have access to get people in and out, 550 parking spots, potentially 1,800 people in the building on a busy day, that's large. It is to me. I'm a small businessman. So we have to be very cautious that we don't promise things to all of you. We are committed to building task work groups with young children, mothers and fathers that care about families. So we want to build what's going to make a difference. Building buildings is easy. Making them meaningful is the difficult part. I want to thank the leadership today, Mike, the mayor, you guys were by our side with IDOT, and it's kind of a little complicated. So you could almost say, well, guys, why don't you get the drawings, right? The drawings, if we don't have the retainage, and if you move parking, and you resize everything, everything changes. As Mike can speak to that much more eloquently than I could. So we are very committed. 10 years of paying payments on this land, I think, is a demonstrated commitment. We've always been here to answer the questions, and we want the community to want this project. If this is not a good project, we would respect that. But we want to make a difference, and it can only happen with your help and with the residents of Homer Glen. That's all we can do. So this is not big money, this is small business trying to make a good thing for all of us. So that's what I'm lead. We're going to take the lead of Mike and the mayor. I think the decisions today were very important. We're talking about a three-way access point. I talk about safety a lot because if we say it's for the children, very likely there will be many of them. So if a mother is pulling in and she potentially gets in an accident, we don't do the proper due diligence up front, I'm very concerned about that. Because it doesn't matter about $15 million, $20 million building, it means that we didn't do the work up front. So with the mayor and the team, I want to work by your side, I want to work with Mike Schwartz and our team to make sure we do all the things on paper that are correct. So if you can continue to guide us, we also ask you to understand, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of risk, and it has to be done with the support of the Homer Glen, IDOT, and our development and our funding. I thank you for your consideration.
Questions?
Just a quick question. I've seen renderings, very well spoken. Would this be an east-west entrance to the building, or would it be a south-facing entrance to the building, ultimately, how you envision it?
Yes. So the way we see it today, we see it that our entry would be on the far east.
Okay.
Far east.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, I've been here, like you said, 6-7 years, and I appreciate that, and I hope I can be here for many years. But I think what we've talked about is the difficulty of trying to work with the PUD, make sure that everything can tie in over the next couple of decades as other people come in. I think we spent a lot of time, and I think we have that figured out from the east and the west. So it won't be about waterfall place. It hopefully would be a corridor, right? So we're trying to work within those expectations. I just want to let you know we did speak with our neighbors today, and we had good discussions again to give them up to speed. And we hope to continue to work that one day that this could be a potential center of town or something that we would all be proud of. Not so much our investors, but really the children and the families that would enjoy coming there for many years and creating the jobs and managing some of the tax responsibilities and some of the things I've heard talked about, the cost of water and many other things.
Well, I live near there, and I look forward to this being a completed project at some point in the future, because I've heard about it for many years. So I wish you well, and hopefully we can get that underway.
Thank you for the kind comments, and thank you for your patience. And I think I want to just make one quick comment, if I may. I think it's very important that we work with Judge Law and try to support that. I think Mike Schwartz, you have done a great job. You have guided us, and I appreciate that very much. And I think the reason I say that is if we can help them build a road and make it efficient so there's less trucks going many directions and on a Friday afternoon or a Friday morning, I think those are all things that we've talked about. And maybe behind the scenes it doesn't seem like it matters, but I tend to think it does matter. So I think we're being somewhat cautious, and it's taken longer, and I don't see the building being built. You're right, we probably will have to come back a couple more times, because when you think of that scale, and when you think of an unfinished road, I see a disaster. So until the road gets done, I hope you guys can stay by our side to understand that without a road, that building will not be successful.
Yeah.
Thank you for your consideration.
Of course, I got these for you too. So the way it is with the IDOT today, that's for jobs. When we went to IDOT today, what we wanted was strictly right in and right out, because a quarter mile to the east would be a full access. The problem with that is if you have full access only at one point, you've got to drive back 3 blocks. You're either doing a U-turn or you're going into the next property using cross-access. What Boris was trying to get, and it makes perfect sense, is a 3/4. You can make a left-hand turn in going east. You can make a right-hand in going west, but it's only a right out. So, which would work, because down the line, when the property to the east gets developed, then you have full access. Everything's going to be cross-access inside the parking lots. So now they can go to a light if they want to go to a light, or they can go turn out right if they want to. So it's just trying to get everything dialed in, because the state's ready to start doing the streets. And once they start, they're not going to change anything that they have on it. But they seemed, at least as far as I'm concerned, they seemed like they're going to work with everybody. So, and as soon as they get started and we know an end date, he wants this built. I hear from him at least once a week, so I know he wants this built. So, but any other questions for Boris?
I would just offer a thank you for sticking with this project and the commitment that you have to Homer Glen and this project in general. I echo Trustee Caprio, and I think this will be a fantastic project for this town.
Thank you, sir. I think we need to cross the hurdle that we took on today. I think the 3-way access to us is essential. I just couldn't see myself moving forward, and I'll speak for all our investors. We could not see comfort with that because I don't think it'll be successful. So it's just something that I appreciate you staying by our side because it's good for the people. Let's just forget the money for a little bit. How do you get 200-300 cars doing U-turns at 8 o'clock Saturday night? I apologize, I don't see it. I don't see it. And I hope we can articulate that and we look for that continued support. And I thought it was a great meeting today, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, could you please take roll?
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Knight-Petrarch?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to accept the proposal from Planning Resources, Inc., PRI, for professional services related to the creation of a master park development plan for the Village of Homer Glen's former Woodbine Golf Course property? It is understood that the total cost of this project is $78,900, and the master park development plan should be delivered no later than October 31st, 2016.
I so move.
I'll second.
Caprio, Trustee Trojki. Is there any discussion?
I just have to say that because I was not here for the meeting of the presentation, this is such an important vote that I'm going to abstain from it. Although I was able to go through the slides, my understanding is without being here, it was really hard to kind of fully grasp what was going on. But I trust both Christina and Sharon that they've done a lot of due diligence with these plans and look to their advice.
Actually, most of the board did. Unfortunately, we couldn't talk about it because you can only talk to one at a time. But with that being said,
I was just going to say, we have Mr. Hallberg here and Mr. Garrison from PRI. If there's any questions that you want to ask at this time.
I would just like to raise a point that I thought you did a fantastic presentation. I thought the RFP selection committee did a great job of getting the finalists in. I was very thoroughly impressed by the operational mindset of Stephen. Daryl, thank you for answering the questions that I had, and you answered them eloquently via email a few days ago. So I appreciate your efforts. We look forward to working with you, and we hope we'll have a successful park plan by October and start to implement some of those things as we move into the Village Hall and start to plan our future.
Is the board looking at you as well?
Thank you.
any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Knight-Petrarch?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers abstains.
Motion carries. Welcome aboard, and we're looking forward to start fixing it just so you guys put it out. Next is zoning map. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 16-007, an ordinance approving and adopting the official 2016 zoning map of the Village of Homer Glen? It is understood that this adoption includes map amendments and map corrections as discovered by staff over the course of 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Berrien, do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Costa, is there any discussion?
Can I just have one verification? The zoning map corrections that were listed on page 2, now those were the only in the past year since like the 2014 zoning map. That was the only changes that were done.
Those are the only ones we found. There may be occasion where we're going to come across something. It's happened in the past. You know, we're building a GIS system from scratch. We have some, I shouldn't say that, we have a layer that's there, but you know, as we find documents that aren't supporting the color that's on the map, we have to then go back and see was it actually rezoned. So we're tracking back. GIS is really the tool that we're using to track back to the beginning when these parcels were brought into the village through the incorporation or possibly annexed later, and what the ordinance number is, either from the county or from the village that changed the zoning. So we do find those errors on occasion. Those 3 that we listed in the report just happen to be the ones that we found this year.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Nagya-Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Berrien?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 16-008, an ordinance accepting the remaining public improvements in the Huncliffe Meadows subdivision?
So moved.
Trustee Costa,
I'll second.
Trustee Sweet, any discussion?
Mike, can you maybe just talk a little bit about this?
Sure. This was, if the board recalls, back in September of 2014, the village had pulled a letter of credit because there were some issues as far as with completing the subdivision. In October of 2014, the roads were paved and the shoulders were completed. There were some additional items that needed to be completed. Those have since been done over the last year. We have finalized everything. The last things that were done were the street lights were inspected. There were some that needed to be repaired. That was done. So everything has been done as far as public improvements now in the subdivision. Back in January of 2015, we did already accept the roads and the shoulders, and that allowed the Homer Township Highway Department to actually do the road maintenance and snow plowing. So now that we've completed everything else, this is somewhat of a formality just to accept the remaining public improvements, and then the village will take over the street light maintenance and the rest of the public improvement maintenance.
So anything related to drainage?
Yes, there's certain things that are taken care of by the homeowner association, but with regards to the majority of drainage, as far as with the drainage ditches along the roadway, then the village would be taking care of that as well.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
No.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Berrien?
Aye.
Trustee Nagya-Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 16-009, an ordinance amending ordinance number 08-38, Section 2, prohibiting and regulating the growth of grass and weeds for the Village of Homer?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Costa, is there any discussion?
Well, this was brought to public safety, and I think that John and Joe, maybe you could explain to them what you explained to me.
Actually, what this is going to do with the considerations given to amend this ordinance is help us enforce on undeveloped properties and subdivisions. Previously, we didn't have a distinction between developed and undeveloped properties. Developed properties typically involve turf grass. Undeveloped is is generally weeds or just wild grasses. We found that in order to maintain that height, 8-inch height on these undeveloped properties, it's quite difficult given the speed at which things grow. Weeds can grow really overnight, 4 or 5 inches at a time. So we had some difficulty in enforcing that. So what this would do would give us the ability to better enforce on the undeveloped properties and the subdivisions, as well as subdivisions that are 97% occupied, still maintain a height of 10 inches on those properties altogether.
I think some of the things we also talked about was the fact that, you know, we're going out there, we're finding the owners, which really means nothing, because if the owners could develop the property, that means they would have the money to maintain it. So if I'm speaking out of turn, so we are going out there, we're cutting it when it gets high, you're finding them, but just not, we're not collecting on those fines. I mean, there's liens placed on the property, but nothing happens until that.
Currently, we have quite a few properties with outstanding liens, and the property owner has no incentive to pay those liens at this time. This would help us better manage that as well.
Okay. With that being said, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sweets?
Aye.
Trustee Hexbee?
Aye.
Trustee Casa?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 6 was tabled. Number 7, is there a motion to approve a proclamation designation April 4th through 10th, 2016 as International Dark Sky Week in the Village of Homer Glen?
I so moved.
Trustee Suisse,
I'll second.
Trustee Caprio, is there any discussion?
Was this, last year, was it the same days last year?
No, I don't think we had an International Dark Sky Week last year.
Like,
This is
just a day.
This is a week.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweets?
Aye.
Trustee Casa?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Hexbee?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to accept and receive the Will County Sheriff's Office Homer Glen Policy Policing Unit 2015 report?
So moved.
Trustee Costa, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Suisse, is there any discussion? Okay, one thing I can say is they're cheaper this year. So they didn't go up, they went down. So, that being said,
I'm just going through some of my notes on this. And just before I move on, I just want to make sure that I guess one of the high points is this year marks the lowest crime rate in village history since we incorporated, which is obviously fantastic. A couple questions I had, maybe the lieutenant could answer these. It says in total we had 4 DUI arrests in 2015. Any idea how many we've had in the years past? How that compares?
I just came up here. I can get it. I can find that data for you if you would like it, but I don't have it. That's something I have to research.
We can. I mean, it's just a question. Overall, I think, and maybe some of these statistics should be read on the record, Mayor. I mean, I think in large part, with the lieutenant's leadership on this, this town is in good hands, and the crime rate is down across the board, I believe. And so I would just say kudos and keep up the good work. And maybe you and I can circle with any questions I have or just on some of the statistics. But overall, they're all very encouraging, so good work.
yeah, they've done a very good job. And it's definitely cost effective. So we do thank them.
Is this also going to the website?
I will be posting this underneath the government section of public services and safety. It'll be posted there.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Casa? Trustee Caprio? Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Tracy?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to accept the bid proposal for voice data wiring in the new Village Hall from Team Logic IT in the amount of $8,859?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse,
I'll second.
trustee Caprio, is there any discussion?
I think it's important to make it clear that it says here that the A&F committee unanimously approved the motion, and I'm going to respectfully disagree with that. What happened at A&F is there was a proposal that came to us, and there was some discussion that we thought we could probably do better. There was a company that gave a proposal, and so the first time that I ever saw this proposal was in the packet. So I never saw that proposal and approved that proposal. Agree? Sharon? Would you say that that's correct? We didn't have this? Okay.
Well, we didn't have it when we talked about it because at the time, we didn't know if they were paying a prevailing wage.
Right.
And
But I'm saying we just didn't, it says that we accepted this proposal, we never saw this proposal. Correct.
No, we
A&F.
didn't see it until after it was sent.
Right.
We were in agreement with it, with the knowledge that they were going to be a prevailing wage because they were almost $7,000 less expensive than the next bid. And the next bid, we never even knew if they were prevailing wage either. But we've got it from $17,000 down to $8,859, and they do pay prevailing wage. So in essence, we did save.
In A&F, it was presented to our facilities manager who did his due diligence in researching the firm as well as their quote and verifying that there was prevailing wage. So,
Any other questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Nancy Tracy?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye. Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve a proposal from HR Green for Phase 1 engineering services for the line of 151st Street between Cedar Road and Parker Road for a not-to-exceed amount of $85,857.05?
So moved.
Trustee Costa?
Second.
Trustee Varian. What this is going to help with the new Village Hall coming in, be able to open up the streets a little bit, because now you've got Village Hall, you've got the library, and you've got the township, and you've got the complex. It is going to be needed. We do not plan on doing it until 159th Street is done, unless they can squeeze it in before, because we don't want two roads screwed up, because no one will be able to get from A to B. So we're doing a study on it right now, so we do know what it would cost us, what we have to do. So with that, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Tracy?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is a workshop item. We're going to have a presentation from Finance Director John Sawyer of the proposed budget for fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2016 and ending April 30th, 2017.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the proposed budget for the next fiscal year, ending April 30, 2017. It is I'm proud to say we're presenting a surplus in the general fund. It handles a lot of the initiatives, actually all of the initiatives that were put forward have been included in this budget. In your packet, there's a letter to the board. I just wanted to read one of the paragraphs in it. It says this enclosed budget is no property taxes, no new fees, and is going to continue its practice of not levying a municipal property tax for general obligations or general operations. I also want to note that the Village of Homer Glen is a AA+ bond rated municipality. and in the state of Illinois, and also a community without a shopping mall or 10 car dealerships. This is a very rare occurrence. So it's the outside world's assessment of Homer Glen as a very financially stable community. The budget has 9 existing funds, and the two digits in brackets just identify the fund number that's in the detailed worksheets. It's the first 2 digits of the chart of accounts. We did eliminate the land acquisition fund. There was a small balance of about $23,000 that was transferred into the Park and Recreation Fund. So that's going for fiscal 17. This is a summary presentation of the revenues and expenses. Total revenues, all funds, was $13,260,092. Expenses totals $421,577. I want to point out that the first 3 funds are general funds, and those are the funds that operating surplus and deficits are relevant. And we are, this budget does forecast a operating surplus in the general fund. The remaining funds, 4 through 10 on that list, are special revenue or capital project funds, and it's their nature to build up funds and spend them down. It's a normal cycle, and although, when you look at that, we're $10 million over revenues, those funds were built up over years, and we're just going to commit them towards projects in fiscal 17. The 9 budgeted funds have a total revenue of $13,260,000. 37% of that is the general fund, 32% is the capital project fund. I'm sorry, the general fund represents 65% of the total revenues. The debt service fund is 19%, and that's the home rule sales tax. Park and Recreation Fund is 9%, and that's the local motor fuel tax and park developer fees. And then the motor fuel tax, that's the state per capita tax, that represents 6% of the total revenues. The total expenditures were $23.4 million, with 37% of that is the general fund, which primarily is the sheriff's contract and the road maintenance contract. The capital project fund, bond fund, is 32%, with a lot of initiatives that are going to be proposed for fiscal 17, so that's rather high this year. The debt service fund represents 9% of the total. That's a $2 million bond and interest outlay annually for the 2012 general obligation debt. So moving forward, we'll go to the general fund. We expect to start the year on May 1st with a balance of $4.9 million. If you add the budgeted revenues of about $8.7 million, subtracting the budgeted expenses of $8.6, we should finish the year with about close to $5 million. That is a $52,826 projected surplus in the general fund. We need that to continue on with our fund accounting policy. As our expenses grow, our requirements to grow our fund balance also need to be met. So in the years past, we used to present balanced budgets, but I think going forward, we should have a little bit of surplus just to keep in line with our fund accounting policy. These are the top, well, this is a grouping of sales of revenues. The first 3 items on there, that is just the sales, 1% sales tax. It does not include the home rule sales tax. The second item is the per capita income tax, which is $107 per resident, and that comes from the Illinois Municipal League forecast. And then the third item on there is the 50% of the road and bridge levy that the Homer Highway Department levies. And that is by law in the state of Illinois, 50% of road and bridge levies come back to the local municipalities. Those 3 items represent 80% of the general fund revenues. The remaining revenues are very consistent with the past. Gaming tax picked up a little bit of revenues from last year. I think it moved from 10 to 7. But overall, very comparative to last year. As I had mentioned earlier, 80% of the top 3 items, or the top 3 items represent 80%. So if we were to include home rule sales tax, which is obligated to debt service, that would represent, sales tax and home rule sales tax represent 43% of all of the revenues in the village of Homer Glen. So we're very reliant on sales tax in this community. And of course, we don't impose a local property tax, so kudos to the village. It's terrific. This is just a chart showing how sales tax has been over the last 6 years. And we are starting to see a recovery. For fiscal 17, we expect sales tax to be flat, primarily because of the decline in gasoline prices. We have a large concentration of filling stations in town, so we kept that flat. This next chart is income tax, which is the per capita revenues. Actually, it's done very well. We had kind of a spike in 15, or because the state rate was 5.25%, and then it went back down to 3.75. So that created a little bit of a spike. We're anticipating, according to the Illinois Municipal League, a little bit of a decline, not much, less than 1%. This particular revenue over the past few years has been subject to delays in payment. So right now, the state is fairly current on its payments. And then this is a grouping of the top 9, in the general fund expenditure categories. So the first item is the public safety contract. And as the mayor said, there's no increase forecasted there. Actually, the first item and the public works, the third item, which is also a contracted service. We're really fortunate as a village to have fixed costs for these types of endeavors, because those are the ones that spike. There's so many different variables that could create large increases within the year. So fortunately, that's not the case here. So public safety is the contracted amount. We have personnel and benefits at 1.7 million, public works at 1.2. Sales tax incentive agreements, I believe we have 4 of them. And as that number grows, that's really good for the village. That means the revenues from those retailers are also growing. So that's a good number. And the rest are fairly compatible with the prior year, except that we did raise contingency from 120,000 to 200. And I just wanted to know that I mentioned it to the A&M committee. Contingency for me is a reserve against revenues. So it also is a place where you can charge for emergency purchasing. But I'd like to, as long as there's no emergency purchasing, I would wait until the 4th quarter to see how the revenues come in before you start to charge against that particular line item.
John, I do have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Back on slide number 9, you show as a revenue of $1,318,005 on the R&B levy.
Yes.
As a revenue, but we're only showing 1.21 as an expenditure. Why 100?
There's a $200 swing. We picked it up on the motor fuel tax fund because we've incurred some general funds for underground locating and things like that we couldn't charge MFT. So I was going to mention that the reimbursements and the motor fuel tax sharing that goes to the township, those figures represent the maintenance agreement with the highway department. So it is a net. It still is a net zero.
On the expense slide, can you maybe give us more detail on number 4?
Okay, well, sales tax incentive agreements. We have one with Myers, Menards, the Homer Town Store Plaza, and Big R. And they're different. They're all different. Some are occupancy driven, some are performance driven, and they're all different. and it's a forecasted figure. So, you know,
I was more just looking for the who was in there, so you answered my question. Thank you.
and some, you know, they have, I think all of them have a defined term. So they'll have an aggregate limit and a term. So if they haven't been paid out the aggregate, it still expires. We're coming close to a wrap on Homer Town Square, maybe 2 or 3 years. And ours has been in play for a while, and the home improvement sector's improved a lot, so they're gaining, and I think that was a 15-year agreement, and we're 8, 9 years into it probably, maybe more. Myers is brand new. And of course, Big R is brand new, and Big R will be getting the first payment April 1st. So, as I mentioned, this is a number that I hope we owe more, because that means we get more. Oops. So, the general fund initiatives. We're going to continue with the sheriff's contract. As I mentioned, it's a fixed cost program. It is a cost reimbursement program that's kind of a year in arrears. But to have a fixed cost for a service that substantial is really good. We're going to save $178,000 in rent savings when we move out by July 31st. As I had mentioned, we are going to be picking up the underground utility location service, which is $95,000. It's part of the street light maintenance program that you'll see in the MFT fund. We budgeted $50,000 to continue the mosquito abatement program, 4 applications, same as last year. We have budgeted for a new vehicle and a used vehicle, and I believe we're going to probably reposition the units that are being replaced and maybe take out of service the older ones. We still have some really old Crown Vics, so I think we'll save in the long run. We're looking to update the subdivision ordinance, which is super old, $25,000 expected cost, probably come in much less than that. And then the IEPA has a MS4 program for stormwater compliance that we need to get with, we need to do. We've been lucky to get by so far, so we're looking to do that next year. We budgeted $15,000 for the OptiCom maintenance. That's the mechanism that controls the traffic signals for emergency vehicles. We have about $8,500 for a large format plotter scanner, long overdue. We budgeted to continue the economic development promotional efforts, and also to explore some vacant positions that we currently have, one being the assistant village manager and the other a part-time development services sector. We budgeted to continue staff professional development, and the last initiative is we increased the contingency from $120,000 to $200,000. Special revenue, this is a restricted general fund. It is the community festival. It has an opening balance of $62,000. The festival committee budgeted revenues at $118,000 and expenses at $118,000. We have we added a place setter for another community event with the anniversary and the moving and everything. And I believe also there was another $10,000 for Homer Harvest Day. So that projected ending balance is $42,000. There's the projected revenues. With a hypothetical profit sharing for the intergovernmental sharing between the Homer Highway Department and the Homer Township for their participation in the festival. So the next fund, also a restricted general fund, is the environmental fund. Has a balance of around $50,000. Budgeted revenues of $36,800. Budgeted expense of $46,980 to come down to an ending balance of $40,165. It gets its revenues from the surcharge, $1 per resident per quarter charge on disposal services. The Earth Day, Arbor Day, gross revenues are projected at $5,600 for the total revenues of $36,800. And the expenditures, most of these are repeating in nature. The item 2, we've been doing every other year. It's household hazardous waste, and I think it's co-op with, this is a co-op event.
We work with Will County on that.
With Will County. The remaining items on there are endeavors that they've been doing all along, and we've separately disclosed them. I don't believe there's anything that's changed significantly from previous years. They've gone up a little bit, down a little bit, but in substance they're right on with the past. So the total environmental expenditures is $46,990. And we're just going to continue on with the fund as it was established, and all the other endeavors that we had disclosed on the expenditure sheet. It's and then the motor fuel tax fund. This is a special revenue fund. It's kind of like a capital project fund. It's been building funds up for a long time. Balance of 2.6 million, which is quite large for a motor fuel tax fund. It has revenues expected at $734,000 with budget expenses of $926,425 for an ending projected balance of almost 2.4 million. It gets its revenue from the per capita revenue, which is $107 per resident. The second item is a high growth community. IDOT identifies communities that have high growth based on the last census. It's a $26,855 revenue that is projected to go through 2017. Item 3 is the 80% engineering reimbursement on the 143rd Lamont Road project. We pay the gross engineering, and then we get reimbursed for 80%. The last revenue item is $4,000 for interest income for a total expected revenue of $734,559. Expenditures in the MFT fund are wrapping up the 143rd Lamont Road Improvement Project, $325,000. The Homer Township Road District, this combined with the Road and Bridge Levy are the costs for the road maintenance agreement with the Homer Highway Department. We have some money set aside for the street light maintenance, traffic signal maintenance, and that item 5 is a right-of-way acquisition for the 143rd Lamont Road project. We've left it in there. Chances are we won't incur that. We recently came across some information that says that they bought it a while back. So I'd rather leave it in there in case that's not true. And then we have a small amount for street signage. Grand total in the MFT fund is $926,425. Park and Recreation Fund went through a big change with the new 3-cent per gallon local motor fuel tax. As I mentioned in the Treasurer's report, $23,000 of the land acquisition fund balance was transferred into the opening balance of the Park and Recreation Fund, predominantly because the local motor fuel tax allows for land acquisition. So it was redundant to have it. The budgeted revenues are $1,125,700. Budgeted expenses of $1,524,164. Expecting the Park and Rec Fund to end the year with around $2.2 million. Its initiatives are funded through the local motor fuel tax, which just went into place on March 1st. And I too have seen that variation over years, 10 years with pricing. It's a strange occurrence. We do forecast revenues of $750,000 from that. We're going to eliminate the contracted mowing services, bring it in-house. We've added a lot of additional service with the trails and the parks. We're going to hire 2 seasonal laborers and a full-time mechanic manager to get this done. We We did set a place setter for the Goodings Grove Park improvement, which is initially was a grant-funded project. It's been suspended with the budget crisis. We also set a place setter for the park improvements at $250,000. Of course, all that will go to the board before we spend any money. Revenues, as I mentioned, the 3-cent local motor fuel tax at $750,000. The grant, that's a 50% match grant on the Goodings Grove. It was a 50% match capped at $170,500. So if that comes through, we'll go back and incur the expenses. If not, it's on hold. The 80% engineering reimbursement through IDOT for the CMAC Barrels Trail, $75,200. Developer park contributions, $125,000. This number's seen a nice improvement over the last 2 years, which is a really good sign of the economy coming back. Interest income of $5,000 for a total revenue of $1,125,700. The expenditures are the park development for Goodings Grove, Barrels Trail development at $450,865. That's a couple different extensions. As I mentioned, the place setter for park development at $250,000. Park and trail maintenance, $70,500. Park equipment, installation and maintenance, $17,500. Flagpole landscaping, I think that's the Stonebridge, $1,500. Utilities, $17,500. The Woodbine Master Park, which the board approved, is budgeted at $90. We'll see a savings there because I believe that cost came in at under $79. Personnel and benefit expenditure, $201,299, and then a small amount for park and trail signs, $5,000, for a grand total of $1,524,164.
The next couple slides are just examples of some of the expenditures from the Parks Fund. The first one here is the Goodings Grove extension to the bike trail. Basically, this is going to connect the existing Heroes Trail behind Menards to the Goodings Grove School and then the sports area that's just north of it. Obviously, this will also provide access to the Homer Town Square, that whole retail area. Right now, the required documentation has been submitted to IDOT, and as soon as that is approved, we can begin the Phase 2 study, and then ultimately go to the Phase 3 study and do the construction. The next one, this was actually a photo from the groundbreaking for the south extension to the Heroes Trail. Construction began last fall on this project, and basically this project is starting from just behind the Village Hall here, beginning at Martingale approximately, and it's going to follow the ComEd right-of-way south to the 159th Street, that corridor, which of course, as part of that project, the village board had approved a IDOT constructing a 10-foot multi-use path on the north side of 159th Street and a 5-foot concrete sidewalk on the south side. So that's certainly going to increase this whole area as far as the trail system. And then the third one is, of course, the Woodbine property. As we're, of course, aware, the village board just approved a contract with PRI to prepare a master park plan for this property for the development of a future community park. So obviously that, per the contract and the agreement from tonight, that's expected to be completed by the end of October. Also, in the area too, back in last fall, we did it was a drainage study that was done for this property as well as the surrounding subdivision. So some of those, the work that will be incorporated into the master park plan will be some of the work that was developed and generated from the drainage studies.
This is the debt service fund. It should really almost be called the home rule sales tax / debt service fund. It has it's the it pays for the 2012 general obligation debt. That was, I believe, $15.6 million bond issue that was sold at a premium that generated about $17 million in proceeds that went into the bond fund. It has a pretty constant payment payout plan that is approximately $2 million a year until the last payment is due in December of 2022. So we project opening balances at $1.3 million. The projected home rule sales tax is a shade over $2.5 million. As I mentioned, bond and interest payment, $1,996,450. So we project the cash and investments at the end of the year at $1.9 million. The capital project fund this really doesn't have a designated revenue. It did get its funds from the home rule sales tax equity that built up over the years. And now that home rule sales tax is committed to the debt service fund, so this does not really have a designated revenue, but it has a lot of money in it. It's going to open the year with a $3.4 million balance. The revenue is interest income, and then the budgeted expenses are $2,471,565. The ending cash and investment balance is forecasted at a shade under $900,000. Its initiatives are a new tornado siren and a relocation of an existing siren, $30,000. Continuation of the streetlight retrofit program, $100,000. The non-letter of credit subdivision improvements, $50,000. The letter of credit subdivision improvements, $88,000. I believe that just represents the amount that we have left from the letter of credits that we pulled. It also, the completion of the 151st Parker Road project is $46,686. We budgeted the village hall at $2 million even, which is down from $2.25 million last year. It's probably on the high side, but it is a safe number. The architectural fees are budgeted at $59,141. We've included traffic equipment at $50,000. The inspection and maintenance at the Farmview lift station is $15,000. And then nowadays for grant consideration, you have to do phase one engineering. So we have budgeted $25,000 for phase one engineering for 143rd Will Cook to Greystone. And that's trying to get funding for that project. The Emerald Ash Borer Tree Replacement Fund also is received its money from the home rule sales tax. It has opening balance of $483,000. It has budgeted revenue, which is interest, of $750, and budgeted expenses of $140,000 for ending balance projection of $343,857. So it has interest, and then the 140 is, I believe we're doubling the amount of trees that we're looking to replace from the prior year, and then $8,000 for the arborist. And then the bond fund, as I mentioned, this was funded with the 2012 bond sale of $17 million. It has an opening balance of $15.1 million. Revenues, which is the investment income, of $25,000. The budgeted expenses, which are restricted per the bond ordinance, are for stormwater improvements, $1.1 million. The joint water agency water transmission line acquisition, ongoing case, $111,660. 159th Street improvements, which also include a water and sewer line, is $6.3 million. And then the professional fees are for review of the water line ongoing procedures. So the ending cash balance in the bond fund is $7,576,876. As I mentioned, I touched on these. These are the initiatives that are spelled out in the bond ordinance, the 159th Street stormwater improvement and the water line acquisition. It doesn't include the purchase of the water transmission line. In summary, the general fund, which is the one that underwriters, it's our scorecard, it does forecast the surplus, $52,826. overall revenues of $13,260,092, with expenses that are up this year because of the buildup of funds and the initiatives for capital projects, forecasted at $23,421,577, for a very good ending cash and investment balance of $20,351. I'm sorry, $351,999. We're well positioned to keep moving forward with more initiatives. And before I forget, I wanted to thank all of the village staff. This is very much a collaboration with everybody this year, more so than in years past. Really appreciate their help with this. And if you have any questions, be happy to answer them, or if you come up with some later, I would be happy to answer them or get you more detail on it. It's in accounting lingo, it's really good. This is a terrific compilation of where the village is and where they're going. So proud of it.
I just wanted to make note that this presentation will be posted on the village's website tomorrow. So anybody interested in taking a closer look at what was just presented, you'll be able to do that. I'll have a link on the homepage for you to take a look at it. Next board meeting, which is April 13th, I believe, we have published a notification in the Homer Horizon stating that we will be having a public hearing on the budget. At that time, the public is welcome to comment on the budget, and that way the Board of Trustees are able to hear your comments, concerns, and we anticipate incorporating any of those comments and concerns and having a final budget prepared for the board to vote on at the last meeting in April.
Okay. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay. The next item is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session for purposes of discussing personnel and executive session minutes? Trustee Costa.
A second.
Trustee Caprio. Any discussion? Yeah, we'll have a 5-minute recess. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Sweet? Aye. Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Drake?
All right, we're looking at 5 minutes and